All right. Ta-da! Hello, Future Bestsellers, everybody. I literally am like looking at my screen like, is it working? That's how this is how today's show opens, with me squinting at the screen and henpecking. So it's a fabulous and glamorous life here we have as authors. So yes. Hi guys. I'm Lisa Daly, if you don't already know this, and with me, as always, are my fabulous and talented co-hosts Michelle Schusterman and story detective Robert Jones. So let's do some quick introductions as folks start to filter in. Michelle, please tell us a little about you. Hello, tell us a little about you and your awesome channel.
All right, I'm Michelle Schusterman. I write young adult and middle grade novels, and my YouTube channel is Writing Workshops, Traditional Publishing Chat, and Writing Blogs.
Very nice. It's a great channel. Of course, you guys all know that. Link down in the description below. If you are not already subscribed, you definitely should be. We also have the fabulous, the talented, the awesome, and the charming Robert Jones with us here today. Robert, tell us a little about you and your awesome channel.
Well, my channel is The Story Detective, where I take various forms of storytelling learned from my time at Marvel and my time writing, and combining that and other forms of storytelling to give the reader a broader view, and of course, putting it under my Sherlockian microscope, breaking it all down, and hopefully making your craft journey easier.
Very nice. Love it, love it, love it. Well, your channel is fantastic. We are so excited to see those new videos coming up. And of course, the old ones are gold. So if you have craft questions, Robert's channel is definitely the place to be. I'm Lisa Daly. I'm a traditionally published / hybrid published, I guess now. I guess if you're a hybrid, you don't have to have a / right? I'm traditionally published. I'm also indie published. I'm kind of loving it, although I do feel a little overwhelmed sometimes with that. And if you want to write a book you're super proud of and get it published, this is a great place to start. So, filed under, we all have stuff to learn at every point in our career. I have a coaching client who is putting together a course based on her very, very popular Facebook group and just the amazing lessons that she has learned as a 7-figure author who does not like to spend money on promotion. And I think we can all get behind that, right? I was just telling her, I actually did an interview with her for the channel, and I'm going to post that this week. But I was actually telling her that, like, my first novel was a Penguin title, and I got a pretty good size advance for it, and I literally spent every dime of my advance on promotion for that book.
Girl.
I know, right? But here's the thing. I was like, okay, this book is important. Like, I really want to launch with a bang. Plus, it was my second book, and my first book, which was Stop Getting Dumped, had been like a big bestseller. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to like out of the gate. And and some stuff happened. I don't know that I would do that again. I mean, I did a big book tour, and there were lots of great things that came out of that. But also, I think now, like, would I really give all that money to promotion? I don't know if that's a good plan, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, exactly. I did make it back, but
That's good.
yeah. But then you kind of Right, but I wish I'd had some of Vanessa's thrifty tips for authors, because maybe I would not have had to spend that giant pile of cash. Oh, I have a little is this the famous and talented Vanessa Vale, or are you a different Vanessa? Please let us know, because if so, we're talking about you. So no. Anyway, so we were not, I was not planning to talk about this today, but we were talking about it as Robert came in, and he was like, oh, this is kind of an interesting conversation. So I feel like we'll bring this up. First, we're going to say hi to our friends in the chat, and then we will talk about the insane rabbit hole that I went down over this weekend and how I blame it all on Vanessa Vale. But in a good way. I feel really good about it, but I also was like, that's what I did all weekend. Like, I kind of went down this. Do you guys see what Odin's doing back here?
I'm very entertained by Odin.
He's like, I need to make a nest. Or maybe he just messed up all my pillows and he's going to end up sleeping on the ottoman anyway. It's he just can't decide. Oh, back to the chair.
Oh no,
It's gone.
she yeeted herself.
I had my own rabbit hole over the last couple of days, and I
Yeah.
redesigned my studio. I still have a few things to do on the side of the room you can't see, but I restructured everything.
Oh, awesome.
I was getting in need of doing it, that spring urge to just have a different feeling in my studio, and I was just coming in here
Absolutely.
every day saying, I need a change. I need a change.
Yeah.
You know what's so funny is sorry for disappearing also. You know what, I was looking at you and I couldn't figure out what was different, but it does look different. It does look
It's all
different.
different.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. All right. Well, maybe that should be our theme this weekend. What I did on my Easter vacation. Michael's here. Hello, Michael CV Chen. We've not seen you in a little while, and we are so glad to see you today. BookTube Goddess is here. Hello. Stacy. Hello, Stacy. We're super excited to see you today. Cool Gamer is here. Hello. Victoria Talks Writing is here. Oh my gosh, we have such a great group today. Rose Lynn is here. Good morning, Rose. Devin's here. Hello. All right. Yes. Okay. So dun dun dun. I haven't looked. Is it Vanessa? Oh, I'm afraid not. I wondered why you were asking me for tips. You just never know who's good. Well, and here's the thing, right? I should have known it was not the real, not that you're impersonating Vanessa Vale. I should have known it was not Vanessa Vale because her branding is super consistent across everywhere, pretty much across the universe, right? And so if you were Vanessa Vale, it would say something like Vanessa Vale, awesome cowboy romances or something. And then the picture would be the one that she uses for everything, which is like the back of a lady with I think it's a leather bodice, because that's what happens when you live in Montana. Your bustiers have to be leather, for the inclement weather. I sort of, I kind of dig it. Anyway, okay, so there we go. Very, very nice. Love this.
Sometimes that's all it takes is a small change, but I tried small changes and it just wasn't cutting it. And I said, I'm redoing.
You need a big change.
Yeah.
That's great. My challenge with my office is that I really don't think I could rearrange it because it's small and I have 2 sets of windows and I like to look out the window at the water, which is this window. And so my desk is like the biggest thing in here. And then I have to think about, okay, if I'm sitting at my desk, what was the rest of my office look like? Because it's also my set. And so I could switch the chair and the supply caddy. Like that would be super fancy. But other than that, I don't know if I can make any really big changes. Well, maybe I'll try. We'll see. Anyway, can I tell you guys this? So last week, Lainey's been with us every week for a while now. And last week she sent me a text. Am I drooling on myself? Last week she sent me a text during the stream because she was doing research for a book and she was dressed in a beekeeper costume. So it wasn't a costume, like she was literally in a real beekeeper outfit / suit / whatever. Yeah. Which I thought was pretty awesome and is a great picture. And if I had it on my laptop, I would definitely share it because it's so adorable. Mary Wembley is here. Hello, Mary. Super glad to see you today. Renee is here. Hello. All right. Vanessa says, wish I had some tips. Well, we will have some. And if you have any questions, we are answering some today. So pop them in the chat. All right. How do you spell Vale? It's Vale. I went to help. Is that like when your toddlers like help fold the laundry? Same kind of help, Lainey, or do you feel like you're like you have like beekeeping in your blood? I'd really like to know the answer to that. Okay, so I have to take this off because as you guys know, I have a 1 degree comfort zone, and I have now reached that. I'm at the heat level. So hopefully in the next 10 minutes, I'll be like, "Whoa, I'm freezing and I need my sweater." Yeah, very nice. Very nice. All right, let's go ahead and get started with our first 5-minute warm-up sprint. And then I will share with you guys when we come back, what the little rabbit hole that I went down all weekend was all about. And you can tell me whether or not you thought it was a good use of my time. We'll see. Okay, here we go. Let me go ahead and put up our 5-minute timer. Oh no, hold on. I closed all these windows and some of them I hid. And you know what happens? There's 1,000 tabs open on my thing. Hold on, we're going to try this again. Uh-oh, I almost put the back thing anyway. Okay, one more time. Normally not. Oh, there it is. Okay, I think I figured out the secret. All right, everybody, let's get ready. This is our 5-minute warm-up sprint. We're just going to put 5 minutes on the clock so you guys can get your documents open, get your little fingers all warmed up, get your drinks, anything else you need to do. So we'll be ready for our big sprints coming up right after this. All right, here we go. Getting started in 3, 2, 1. Sprint. Oh, right. So I apologize when StreamYard kicked me out. I came back right away, but apparently I did not hit mute. And so for all of you who had to spend your warm-up sprints listening to me like I apologize. So sorry about that. So I'm super excited. What are you guys all working on today? Let us know in the chat. Let's go back around. Story Detective, what are you working on today?
I'm still editing my manuscript, and I spent my warm-up trying to figure why this word processor wasn't turning on. And I'm plugging it in and unplugging it. And I realized since I rearranged the room, I have it plugged in an outlet that I have to flip a light switch to turn it on. I'm like,
don't
it's
you
gonna be
feel
one of those days?
When that happens, you're either like, yeah, I'm always like, yes. Yeah. I feel that. I feel that. Michelle, what are you going to work on today?
I am revising my middle grade mystery.
Yay. So I have hockey. What? Shocking. I'm working on hockey romance today. What? I know it's hard to believe. I'm at a really good point in the book though. So I don't know if you guys get this. Tell me if you feel the same way. There are some books sometimes that once you get far enough into the story, then you like want to get back to it. Almost like when you're reading a good book and you really want to like get back to it. So you're, like reading while you're like, browning ground beef for dinner, trying to get like one extra page in or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I am with writing this book now, where I keep wanting to, I'm thinking of stuff in the shower and I keep wanting to get back to it. So that is great. I love that feeling when you, right? Because I struggled for a while and it was taking me like to get into the book. And now I'm like, I got to write this down before I forget it, which I love that feeling. So you guys in the chat, let us know what you are working on today. I have no idea what's going on with StreamYard. I'm like hardwired in with the internet. I have no idea why it keeps kicking me out, but it does. So if I disappear, just know I will always come back. Okay. Renee has a great question. How do you prepare to write a series? Do you write one outline at a time or outline the whole series? Advice, please. That is such a good question.
Mm-hmm.
Very good question.
It is a very good question, right? I'm working on my first series and I really struggled with the first book because I kept having to go, because all my other books are standalones. And so what I kept having to like stop in book one and go back and plot parts of future books. Michelle, you've done series. Yes. So tell us how you normally outline them.
First thing is to know whether it's, I'm blanking on the phrase, but there's two different types of series.
Yeah. So interconnected standalones.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or a static series is what I've heard that called. So for example, you set up a premise and you have the first book, and then you could just do an infinite number of sequels in that world, but there's not necessarily like an arc over all of them.
Right, a
And
big
then-
story arc.
Right. And then on the other side of it, you have like duologies, trilogies, etc., 4-book series, 5-book series, where each book has an arc, but you want to have one overall arc, you know.
Right.
So it depends on which the book I'm writing right now, I'm writing it as a standalone that has static series potential. So I am keeping in mind as I'm working on it, like what pitches could I write for a potential book 2 or a book 3. When I have written in the past, like a trilogy, for example, I definitely outline the first book, and I think I write about the main character's emotional arc, because I think that's the first really key thing to figure out is, like, let's say you're talking about a trilogy, so 3 books. You want the main character to have an emotional arc in the first book, but she also has to have one
For
that
the
covers
series arc.
series. So it's almost like you have to think of it in steps. How is she going to get a transformation in book 1, and then another one in book 2, and then ultimately end up in her final place in book 3? And but I do not outline all of the books right away, because things always change as I draft,
Mm-hmm.
and that will affect the outlines of the future books. So what I would do personally, just like the very short version, is I would outline book 1. I would write pitches for book 2 and 3.
Right.
I would write the draft of book 1, and then outline book 2, and kind of like take it in stages like that as I go.
That is how I'm working on it as well.
Mhm.
I had the like a very rough, almost like, well, like I love how you said you like write a pitch for it, because for the next book in the series, I have basically like your back cover blurb as sort of,
Right.
so I know the main beats of the story. I know, the things that are going to be important for me to outline the book. But also, as I'm writing, book 1, I'm making notes for things that I know I'm going to refer to in book 2, book 3. And my series is an interconnected series. So essentially any of the books could function as a standalone,
Mhm.
but it's a hockey romance. And so what happens is we're following one character on the team's romantic arc, and then the next book is another teammate's romantic arc, the next one is another teammate's, but you're going to see these characters in each other's world. So in book 1 you get a couple of appearances by Lana, the publicist, but in book 2 she gets her own story arc. And so it's all kind of working. And a lot of that stuff, as you're writing book 1, you go, oh, this would be a great little thing to put into book 3. And so that is how I do it. So, and it's essentially the same process, but that is such a good that you follow, which is such a good question, Renee, because I should have asked instead of trying to write the first book as a standalone and then realizing, oh crap, I need to know this about book 3 or book 4 or this other character, and also keeping track of all those folks. So I did come to that same process that Michelle uses on my own. But
So did I.
that was what I was just going to ask you, Robert, because I know you're also doing a series.
Of the 2 series that I was working on these past couple of years before I fell off the wagon last year, the first one was a trilogy, and I outlined all 3 books. And by the time I finished the first one, I realized that those second 2 plots that I took all that time outlining was just going to be a vague idea of where things ended up. And I needed to replot the whole thing anyway, because as Michelle said, it's always morphing and changing.
Right.
And so for the second series, I have an idea of where it's going to go, because it's going to possibly be longer than a trilogy. And I just planned out the first arc and fast drafted that and have a basic idea of where the next couple of arcs are going.
I love that. That's fantastic. So Lainey, who has written probably more series than all of us, says she does a rough outline of the next series when she's at book 3 in her series in progress. I want to start seeding the next series and building interest midway through the current series. You're a genius. That is really, really smart. Lainey is an indie author, and this is one of the reasons why I feel like there's such a great opportunity in indie versus traditionally published, which is how I started my career, that she's daisy chaining not just one series, not just the books within a series. So she's not just delivering like you just finished book 1, ooh, I love it, and now she's going to just take you right into book 2 with a little bit of a hook, which I love. And so you're, oh, I got to read book 2, got to read book 3 about it. But then by the time the last book, she's not just leaving you hanging, she's going to hook you into the next series. And I think that is genius, because instead of, you know, getting a one-off kind of a read through, you're getting people who read, you know, 4, 5, 6, 87 of your books, which is phenomenal. Really, really love that. Devin says, I'm still working up to the climax of my book. Still have a few chapters to get there, but it's really close in sight. Yay! That is awesome, Devin. We're super proud of you. Lainey says she likes the right families. The family, the siblings, each have their each of their conflicts. Just in general terms, the hardest part for me is their names. I struggle with that too. I had some weird name stories of like how I came up with names. I will say something, like you know, everybody I think has been kind of messing around with Chat GPT, and I do not want to teach it to write to take away our jobs. And so but I did do a little experiment the other day where I said, oh, I said such and such is a character in a romance novel, and her boyfriend is a professional hockey player. What's his name? And it gave me 50 names with like nicknames, like Frank the Missile Smith, you know, like this kind. But some of them were good, and I was like, okay, I think I might use this one, like for you know, some of the smaller characters. So I thought that was really really, really funny. We had Esperanza here today. She says, hi everyone, I love these streams. First time entering the chat. Welcome, Esperanza. We're very glad you're here. I'm working on editing my book for a pitching conference in June. Yay! All right. Well, if you need some help with your little, you know, elevator speech about your book, definitely let us know, because that can be real. When you do those pitching conferences, you want to make sure you have a really memorable little nugget so that people will, you'll stand out against all the other people that these agents and editors are going to see that weekend. So let us know. Let us know. All right. Michael's got something going on. My Write-a-thon Writertown Junction is this weekend, noon Saturday to noon Sunday. Here's my Instagram post with all the deets. Michael, are you, I can't tell if it on StreamYard whether or not he's got it. I think you're a wrench. But if you're not, just let me know in the chat and I'll make you one. That way that link will go live. Do remember to right click to open in a new tab. All right. Very, very nice. Okay, thanks very much. So I want to get going on our first sprint today. And then when we come back, this time I mean it, when we come back, I want to tell you guys about the rabbit hole that I went down all Easter weekend. All right, here we go. Let's see. Wait, you know what? I'm going to be smart this time about the timer. I'm going to tap it beforehand so it's not lost. Look at that. Works like a charm, babies. All right, here we go. We're going to do 20 minutes up on the clock. You guys can do this. We're ready to write. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Cha-cha. All right. Okay, fantastic, everybody. Let me go ahead and get our timer just reset here for next time. So how'd everybody do on that last sprint? Let us know in the chat. Robert, how did you do?
Pretty good. I'm getting refamiliar with where I left off since I didn't write for the last couple of days, and it's getting back into the groove pretty well, pretty easily.
That's fantastic. I love that. How about you, Michelle? How'd you do? Oh, you're muted. Hold on.
I said good.
Good.
I got, I don't know, maybe half a chapter revised.
Oh, that's good.
This one's
That's pretty
coming a
good.
little slow. I'm kind of like at a weird point where I'm trying to figure out, I don't know what's going on, but I'll get through it.
I get that. I started writing and then got sidetracked on something else. So you know how that is. So I will be better on my next sprint because we don't want to do that, right? That's the whole purpose. Focus. Okay. So I love this comment. Esperanza said, I'm so scared about that part. What we were talking about was your sort of elevator pitch, right? For your book. As for things like Pitch Fest and situations like that. You want to make sure that you've really got that you can really explain the hook of the book, you know, in a way that is so compelling that they really remember it and they want to know more. Shannon's here. Hello, Shannon. Super glad to see you. Thank you very much for the like. We really appreciate it. Lainey had to move back to the correct chair for writing. I feel that. I feel that. I have 2 chairs that I write it. That's not true. I have 3 places where I write at home. The chair behind you where you can see where Odin messed up all my pillows. They were all pretty, but no. Now they look like a dog nest. And then this chair, which is a steel case, which this is an insanely expensive chair. I would never have paid this much money for a chair. And the horror geek he was trying to figure out which like he spends a lot of time editing, so he was trying to get a new chair and he tried to, and I said, oh, well, just order both of them, see which one you like, send the other one back. What I didn't realize was that the horror geek is not the kind of guy to send stuff back. And so this chair hung around and then finally he gave it to me. But now I can't live without it. If something happened to it, I would have to get another one because it's so comfortable. You can be in it like all day and
nice.
never get sore. And then the other place that I write is out on my lanai. And you guys will laugh at this because we had some lovely patio furniture out there. But last year, my mom and I recovered all of the cushions so that we could add in a whole ton more padding because, you know, your patio furniture is not meant to be sat on for 87 hours in a day, like certainly not like a 7-hour stretch. And so while they were really comfortable for like cocktails, it was not super comfortable after like the first hour for writing. So my cushions are like super comfy now. So yeah, anyway. Okay. Here we go. Esperanza's got a good point. Dun, dun. What I struggle with most is with pitching is that I write literary fiction. It tries to have quieter emotional stakes. The stake for this book are that the main character learns to manage mental illness at a halfway house. That's pretty interesting. So the stakes are very internal and hard to commercialize. That is challenging for sure. The thing about literary fiction is that there's so much of it is about the writing, of course, but you do have to have that there has to be somewhat of a hook in order for your editors and agents to remember it. So there is I'm sure there's something in there, even if it's quiet. There's, right.
Even the best literary authors find that, conflict in there somewhere. And
even if it's exactly, even if it's internal.
1 second, I might have something that could help.
Woo, Robert with the tools, always with the craft books. Here he goes. All right. So while he's digging around in his bookshelf, let's chit chat about what I did on my Easter. So you know this, but you guys, I was I worked with Vanessa Vale on her new course, which I'm super excited about. I was like completely blown away. There's such good information. And one of the things that she talks about is how key it is to brand yourself in the same way everywhere across every platform. And one of the ways that she does that is in the way that she styles her author names, that even though her series book covers will all look like each other, every series has that same, her name is written in the same way or presented in the same way. And that's true even when she's done projects where she's writing with another author.
Mm-hmm.
And it was funny because I did a little video interview with her that I'm posting this week, and I put all her covers up, which you'll see in the video. I don't have it handy here, but I put all her covers up against all my covers, and hers are so clearly branded. You could instantly look at it and know exactly what you're getting. Whereas mine were like a rummage sale, right? You know, they're all different and disconnected. And I do have some I do have kind of a color story that is consistent, especially with my newer books, right? We've got a lot of blues and pinks and greens and beachy colors in general. But the fonts are all over the place. And there are lots of things that are all over the place. And so even though I get complimented on my branding a lot, and I do think about it, I have not been crazy consistent across everything, newsletter, socials, And so that is what I did this weekend. I had this like, oh crap, I'm launching a new series. I'm launching a podcast. I have all this stuff coming up in the next like few months. And I was already starting, like I'd already was in the middle of like a website design. So all this stuff all coming together in the next few months. And I thought, if there's ever going to be a great time to rebrand, now is it. And one of the things I did is I went back to my cover designer, even though this book is just about to be out, and said, I need you to change how my name is written on this cover, because this is how it's going to be going forward. She was very nice about it, but I thought, if I don't do it now, I'm not going to, when will I do it? Or it'll be a lot more challenging and expensive later on. So yeah, so I did it, but I literally spent the whole weekend looking at fonts and deciding what's the one, and tweaking my Instagram page going forward, and making all these plans for all these new assets. So I should have a much fancier brand, thanks to Vanessa Vale, in the next few months.
That's awesome.
I know. I'm excited about that. So this is what I want to know. This is not just Lisa Daily story time. What do you like? You guys think this is a good or a poor use of my Easter weekend?
Oh, I think it's a great use, considering like you're getting into more self-publishing, and you're writing a hockey romance series.
Right.
I think it's a great use of your time, because branding is important.
It is,
in that arena.
I know, right? And here's the thing. I worked in advertising for a long time. And none of this was anything that was like shocking. It was just that you kind of realize when you're doing things piecemeal all through, like all along the way, and then at the end you have a bunch of stuff that's different. And I guess the reason I brought it up today is that I think that as a new author or as an aspiring author, the time to figure out all your branding stuff is now, so you can just build on from there, versus going like me and like having to go back. And again, traditionally published makes it more challenging, especially with your book covers, because one, you don't have any control over the color, the font, anything. And often you get like a different cover designer. They want to do their own thing. So your books might not even match the book you had before, especially if they're standalones, which my early books were. So yeah. But be prepared. Like by May, I should be dramatically more pulled together, or nothing. We'll see what we'll see what happens with that. We'll see what happens with that. I feel like I missed a question earlier, and I want to.
Oh, ready for the book from the last question?
Yes. That was it.
This is Selling Your Book in 60 Seconds by
Ooh.
Michael Haig. Now, I haven't actually read this book yet, but it was recommended by another screenwriter who really knows his craft and does things with meticulous detail. So I'm going to say you're probably going to learn a few things from this book. And screenwriters, pitching is very important to them. So
Yeah.
I'd say pick it up.
I love pitching. I love reading about pitches. So thank you for that recommendation. I'm going to check that out.
No problem.
Ditto. I actually have that book, and I read it several years ago, and it is a fantastic book on pitching. I too love pitching.
Okay,
Isn't it
there's
funny?
2 recommendations for it.
Yeah, it's a really great book. I really, really liked it. Yeah, it's funny that you brought that up. I hadn't thought about it because it's been a while, but that'd be a really great book for it. And I love pitching too. Let's raise our hands in the chat. Who else loves pitching? Anybody else?
When you get it right, I mean, it's great.
Yeah.
Right. Right. It feels so good when it gets when you get it right. All right. I want to know, you guys, do you love pitching? Don't love pitching? Hate pitching? All right. Oh, you're so welcome. We are so glad that you're here. All right, fantastic. Okay, so let's go ahead and do another sprint, and then when we come back, we have some viewer questions that were sent in to me over the past week, and we are going to go through some of those. All right, but in the meantime, let's go ahead and do this. Sorry, I have to put this up. Esperanza says, I love pitching in query letters. I don't know if I'm ready to be rejected in person. You can do it. It's good. The good thing about pitching in person is that it does give you an opportunity to stand out. So I think as writers, we often feel more comfortable in writing things, right? And not so much in person, but it can be a really, really great opportunity. So
it's experience too. And you can't take it personally because they hear so many pitches that sometimes, they're paying attention to what you have to say and sometimes they're not. So you learn that it's not really about you.
Right.
It's timing and finding the right person at the right time.
That's true. And not only that, they might love the idea, but it's too close to something they already have on their list, or it's not quite a great fit for your list. I think that's it. In the beginning, it feels like every rejection is someone telling you, you suck, you're a terrible writer, you're never going to get published. And that is not it at all. It's like you go to the grocery store and you have a shopping list and you're at the store and there are people there who are like, "Ooh, we've got a sale on ground beef this week." When you're like, "Well, I don't need ground beef. I'm looking for chicken." Or, you know what I mean? Like through your whole list. Or I've already got a freezer full of ground beef. I don't need any today. And sometimes there's somebody in the bakery that has something really delicious. And so you might get that even though it's not on your list, right? But you're not going to get a whole cart full of bakery freebies. You're just going to get what you have got things that you need, and milk, eggs, etc., and then maybe a few little extras. But if you have too much chicken in your freezer, you're not going to buy any more chicken unless you're my Aunt Ella May, who, when she had dementia at her later years, she would always want to get chicken at the grocery store, and then you go back to put it in her freezer, and the whole freezer packed with chicken. So
and how many authors do you hear about that are first starting out that get through to somebody on their 100th pitch or their 101st? And I have a story that, can make it very impersonal. When I was pitching, I wrote a query letter and I sent it to Saul Stein, who was a very famous, publisher, writer, editor. And he rewrote my query letter and sent it back to me. And I sent dozens and dozens of people and they rejected it. And if they knew who wrote the query letter, they'd have probably been like, hey.
Right.
But no. So if it's that question, like if Stephen King wrote under a different name and nobody knew who he was, he'd be rejected 100 times too.
Yeah.
Everybody has that experience at some time or another. Yeah, for sure. Although if it were me, I would be like, Saul Stein wrote this when I sent it in, because then again, it's just another way to get a little bit of extra attention. I would totally do that. But yes, exactly.
I didn't even know if that would be, considered a good thing to do, or if it would like cheesy or. I never
It was
said. I just learned a very valuable lesson about not taking it personally from all that.
Yes. Well, that's the truth, right? It's not that your book is not a good book. It's not a terrible book. It's a lot of times it's just not a fit. I don't like firefighter romances, or I don't like time traveling sci-fi, or I don't like that, whatever it is. It's constantly you're dealing with what the market is doing, what the trends are, what the personal preferences of the agent or the editor are, what's selling right now, what big thing has everybody talking and they want a bunch more of those. So yeah,
Mhm.
it's
And
there are
sometimes timing works well for us too, because I'm glad that book didn't sell, because after a while looking at it, I broke it down and it became my series, and it got
mm,
fleshed out into something I think is much better now than it would have been in a single book.
Yeah.
see, sometimes that's good. I can't tell you how many times, like how many other authors I know who have some rejection story where they're like, "Oh, thank God that didn't get published the way it was," or
Yes.
"I tweaked it and it became this other better thing that I love so much, and I'm so glad." So a lot of times, in hindsight, over the arc of your career, what sucks today is tomorrow's valuable lesson.
Yeah.
Okay, with that little bit of whatever it was. That handy publishing tip for the day. Let's go ahead and go into our next 20-minute writing sprint. We've got 20 minutes on the clock. We're going in 3, 2, 1, sprint. All right, fantastic. Did our timer just go off? And I swear, I don't know if it's StreamYard or YouTube out to get me today, but
The timer wasn't there at all.
oh my God. I can hear it going and I'm just typing away. Oh. Anyway, hi everybody, we're done. Good Lord. Is there a full moon today or something? Because I just anyway, BookTube Goddess, no countdown? No, not for this one. Surprise. And we lost like half our audience. So sorry about that, you guys. Oh. But thank you for all of you who are staying with us. And hopefully, God, yeah. Okay. Anyway, private chat. Somebody sent me a thing. No, the timer was not going. I mean, it was. I can hear it in my ear. I just didn't realize it wasn't broadcasting. I apologize. Okay. So let me. I tell you guys, it's StreamYard today, completely out to get me. All right. So let's have our Esperanza said something really nice. She said, "Thank you so much. I appreciate all the help I can get. I'm 100% going to get this. Thank you. You are. Woohoo. 100%. You're definitely going to get it. Super, super exciting. Okay. Let me pull up our questions for this week. I did not, of course, put them in any order. So I don't think we talked about this one. But tell me if we did. I think it was one of those where last time I wanted to talk about it and we didn't. Is Amazon really putting ads in audiobooks?
I had not heard anything about this.
The answer is yes. They really, really are. And there is some confusion, right? Obviously, there are a lot of authors who are really, really ticked off about this. And I'm not certain, and I don't know if any of you guys know what the answer is to this, but I'm not certain if they're randomly doing this with all audiobooks or if they're just doing it with revenue share where you sort of have like a contract with Amazon and with the narrator. I'm not sure, but I will say, as a person who has paid a narrator to produce my own audiobook that I own 100% outright, I would be really, really ticked. One, if ads were put in the middle of it and I didn't have the opportunity to say no, thank you. And two, if ads were put in the middle of it. And as we're hearing, authors are not getting revenue from this. Yeah. So
may I take this moment to recommend Libro FM, which is another fantastic audiobook app that sends the proceeds to an indie bookstore of your choosing.
See, so that's absolutely fantastic. If you're producing your audiobooks, then you can distribute to Libro FM and Spotify and Apple and a bunch of other places through Findaway Voices, and they're lovely. The folks over there are very nice to deal with. I'm like really offended by this. First of all, I don't want my readers sucked out of the story and into an ad. I work really hard to make sure that they are turning those pages and that nothing distracts them. Not hunger, not children, not pets. I want you glued to the page the whole time. And if Amazon dunks in an ad in the audiobook, that's interfering with my mission to keep you awake all night.
I have a lot of questions. One, have they started doing this? And two, are they putting are they putting the ad at the beginning and end, or are they actually inserting ads in the middle of the reading experience?
It is my understanding that they're putting ads in the middle of the reading experience.
God, no.
There's been a lot of chatter about this on, in the various reader groups, and but I have not had it happen to any of my books, and I don't know anyone yet who has, I don't know anyone personally yet who has had this experience, but lots of people are. I'm seeing a lot of like, oh my God, I can't believe this. Or readers are emailing the author to complain.
I have not heard it yet, and I listen to Audible pretty frequently. So is it just indie books to try to get more revenue from sales?
Yeah, it's small and they're just testing it out right now. It's not every book, and we can't really tell what the determining factor is. Oh, here we go. Lainey's got it. Up to 8 ads per book from their own QA.
Oh,
QA
wow.
quality assurance. What's QA? Quality assurance? No, that can't be right. Is that right? All right. I knew Lainey would know the answer. We should have brought her
Maybe
on
their
today.
question and answer section.
Oh, yeah, that could be. Oh, right. That's exactly what it is. Yeah. So there is, I mean, it is a real thing. I have seen the Amazon announcement, and they're saying it's not every book. There's something they're rolling out, but up to 8 ads. That's crazy.
That is, and nothing going to the author. I mean, not that I would opt in for that, but like,
Right.
that just makes it more egregious. And the fact that they're testing it out makes me feel like the actual strategy is, let's sneak this in, let people make a little kerfluffle about it, and then they'll get over it, and then they'll just get used to it, because that's
and then
what happens,
and
you
then
know?
that will happen. Yeah, I
That's what
am very
happens.
curious. My thought is that they're probably testing it with revenue share, because so people who produce their audiobooks through ACX, because you're locked in. You have, I think you have to distribute exclusively with Amazon for what, 5 years if you do ACX, and
Mhm.
you're connected with that narrator, obviously, because they do the, that's how they make their money, for 5 years. So my guess is that they're going to test it out where you're stuck and you can't go, screw this, I'm going to somewhere else. Not that anybody else is going to, Audible is massive in the market, so you definitely are not going to not distribute through them, but but also it might be a good opportunity for some of the other audiobook publishers like Apple to differentiate themselves. No ads. I don't want ads in my audiobooks, period.
No. And here's the thing. If you compare it to other, like, podcasts are free, so it makes sense to me that there's ads in there. YouTube videos are free, so it makes sense that there's ads in there, and I pay for premium, so I don't have to watch ads. If I pay for an audiobook, there should not be an ad in it.
There
because
should
I
not
paid
be
for it.
ads.
Like,
I feel the
what
same
is
way.
the thing?
Right.
No, this pisses me off.
Well, and here's the other thing. The point of an ad is to get you to go somewhere and buy something. So
Yeah.
Amazon is actively working against you, like your reader, experiencing the book all the way through.
It's working against themselves too. If people are pulled out and they don't finish books, they're not going to buy as many books, and that's going to affect sales. If it affects their revenue and they get enough complaints, maybe they'll stop. But it seems like, greedy corporations are just selling out to whoever their big corporate sponsors are, and that's where their loyalties lie. There's nothing else in between.
Well, I think what's going to happen is that the readers will initially, like, my fear, I shouldn't say I think this is going to happen, but I worry it's going to happen, that readers will, as it starts, because it's not everywhere, that readers will initially blame authors for it, and they'll think authors are doing that. And I'm like, I don't like ads in the middle of my content. I will pay more. There's always an option when you're going to watch a show or a movie, you can watch it for free on this, or you can, pay for this. I will always pay, because I do not like to be taken out of the story with ads. And they're always, of course, it's like always like at the good part, because they want you to listen to the ad or watch the ad and stay. So yeah, I was really, really surprised that, that was something that was coming. Does anybody in the chat see this as a good thing? Like, is that possible that this could be great and I'm just not seeing it?
I don't think so.
I don't.
I think it's like, it's just like the publishing industry. I mean, I guess this is Amazon being the part of the publishing industry, but they're like so short-sighted in, well, here's a way to earn more money now without thinking long-term, which is that you're just driving readers away, and you're going to have less readers buying books, because who wants to buy a book with an ad in it?
Right.
And
also it, for us, we spend a lot of time, energy, money on getting these books to market. And for somebody to siphon revenue. Like they're already taking, this is the other thing. It's not like Amazon's putting your book up for free and this is the only way they have to make money.
Right.
They are already taking a bigger cut than you
Yes.
get, or at least part of a cut. So yeah, not necessarily, I guess they don't get a bigger cut, but they do get a good cut. So again, once again, with the ACX authors, if you don't have that money to produce your audiobook up front and you do the ACX revenue share, you're in kind of a pickle in some ways. So yeah. So that was the big question. Let's go ahead and do, it's 12:30 now. We've got time for one more sprint. So let's go ahead and do that. This time, I'm going to put the timer up. It's going to be very exciting. We're going to try something new here. You know what else I didn't do? I don't think put a, I didn't put like a little banner that says what we're doing. So anybody who's like watching this on Facebook 20 minutes ago was like, it's just a bunch of people being quiet. Just doing their own thing on a live stream. I know. Well, it's just one of those days. I swear, I think there's like a full moon. I'm sure. I feel there's a full moon. Okay, guys, we have got our last 20-minute sprint. We are going to make this one count. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Right like the wind. All right, we've got it. Ta-da! We made it. We had sound for the last sprint, so I feel like that is a big win today, considering my numerous challenges with the live stream today. So thank you all so much for being here today and writing with us. Always awesome. Always an awesome experience. Aw, Jen, thank you so much. I so appreciate that. That just makes me so happy. So happy. So yeah, so okay, you guys. Let's go ahead and do our outros really quickly. And yeah, let's do that. Sorry, my brain's like, okay. Let's start with you, Robert. Will you tell us a little about you and your channel before we head out today?
Sure. My channel is The Story Detective, where I take everything I've learned about storytelling working for Marvel Comics and in my path of writing and other stories and put it under a Sherlockian microscope and break down the craft, give it to the viewer in hopes of making your craft journey easier.
Perfect. I don't know what's happening today. I've had so many technical difficulties. My mic's falling out. Like, who knows what's happening today? Okay. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Except I can't hear you. So that's interesting.
Oh, no.
All right. We're just going to assume. Michelle, I'm going to like jump back in when your lips start moving.
Okay.
Tell us a little about you and your awesome channel before we go.
All right, I'm Michelle Schusterman. I write middle grade and young adult novels. My channel is Traditional Publishing Chat, writing blogs, and writing workshops. Thanks, Lisa.
Very nice. Let's start moving. Yay! All right. Devin says a few more paragraphs and I will be over with this chapter. You know what that means, Devin, since we're not going to be with you when it actually happens, but we know it's happening today. That's for you, buddy. All right. Thank you guys all so much for being here. We are so happy that you guys could make it. And it is not a Wednesday without you. All right, everybody. We will see you next week. Same time, same place, 11 a.m. Eastern, right here next Wednesday. Happy writing and have a great week. Bye, everybody.
Hey, everybody.